We're back with the Coach's Corner live on the Loan Officer Success Partner Network, proudly sponsored by Premier Lending. I'm Devin Dubuque.
And I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
Hey, together we're here to bring you success strategies, insights, and the motivation you need to win today's mortgage market. So, Coach, brother, I know we left off last time on a rant. You'd just gotten back from Mortgage Con, and I took a little break and went over to the Freedom Club event with our buddies Carl White, Mortgage Marketing Animals. And so I think we might have missed a week there, but I think we'd kind of let things off talking about success plans and how to talk to real estate agents, right?
Yeah, it's the number one thing that we do as loan officers is generate business. And if you don't know how to do it, or you go about doing it the wrong way, you can spend a lot of time spinning your wheels and just going in circles.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, we were talking about making sure that you're identifying the appropriate agents, right? Looking for the right partners to spend your time reaching out to. And I think really what we're talking about is like frequency of follow-up. What is too little and what is too much? And I think that's where a lot of people get confused is, hey, once I make that great connection and do that reach out, what does that look like? And then once I reach out to them, like, how often do I follow up? So you got any suggestions on that? Maybe just a couple?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of coaches out there across the country, but I think when you analyze them all and you look at what they're doing, there's a couple of things that are just similar through every coaching model.
Yeah.
And one is, first of all, calling on agents that are actually doing the business, calling on what we call a top agent. In our book, an agent doing at least, 8 to 12 units a year, is the lowest level you want. And then you're looking for people doing as many as 2 or 3 or more a month on average. And I don't know if we talked about finding those people, but real quick, there are tools that you can buy, systems like Redder. There are things that MMI.
Yep.
You can also get on Zillow and look at some of the top agents on there and their production. You can call a local title company and see if they can't pull you up production for the top agents.
That's right.
Or if you got a friend that's a member of the MLS, a real estate agent, you can get them to print you out a list of the top producing agents in the area. And don't be afraid to ask, They might want to know why you want to know more than just them. Well, you got to let them know I need about 8 to 10 people as good as you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think you could also call a local title company and say, hey, I love working with your company. Is there anybody else that, I should be networking with, right? And, effectively, a lot of times they've got, all the names. They know who's closing loans because they're in their office, often with closing day keys, right? Popping the champagne. So, and when you build those great relationships with the title company, they want to be reciprocal, right? They want to give that back to you as well. So, there's so many different sources on finding the agents, and we can't stress enough on making sure that they're qualified. And it doesn't mean that we don't talk to other agents that are, doing less than 12. We just don't spend our active time tracking them down, right? We're not going to reach out to them. This is where we talk about, high tech, low touch, high frequency. And what does that mean? That means, hey, once we meet those agents, we don't just disregard them. We put them into our CRM system and let the CRM love on them. And when they do get a lead and send it our way, well, guess what? We're going to give them the red carpet treatment because that's how we treat all of our agents, right? But when we're trying to track down the real qualified agents, right, the ones that, have the ability to give us business, because think about this, right? If an agent's doing less than 8, 12 loans a year, how many opportunities do they have to put business, in front of you, right? Not a lot, right? If there's 12 a year, let's just run with that number. That means that they're closing consistently about 1 transaction a month. And as much as they may love you, they can't give you all 12 because that client may come with a lender attached to it already that they're married to. And they, despite listening to their agent, they may just want to run with that lender. Maybe you don't connect with one of those clients. It's just not a great connection, or maybe they need a product that you can't offer. So quite frankly, you might see about 25% of those. And if you're talking about 25% of 12, right, what is that? Maybe about 4 transactions a year that you're going to get from that agent. So if you're talking to an agent doing 4 transactions a year, maybe you get one loan a year from them, and we appreciate that, right? But at the end of the day, if you're going to be working on taking your time to track down people to do business with, we better make sure that they're qualified, right? Super important.
Right. So once you track down those qualified agents, the big thing is, am I bothering them if I call them? Well, I tell you what, they're going to let you know if you're bothering them. Okay. And anybody that knows statistics out there knows that about 90% of all statistics are made up on the spot, right? So even that statistic I just made up, that was a number I just came up with off the top of my head. But, we do know that it's a fact that there are people out there that will get a list of people to call, including qualified type agents, top agents. And what do? They don't call them.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a percentage of people that never make the first call, let alone a second, third, or fourth call.
Right.
I think we've all seen the numbers that by the time you get to the fifth time you've called somebody, you're down to about 4 to 6% of the total number of salespeople out there that actually make that many calls.
Yep.
And what we've seen because of the success we have with our coaching partners and people like that, that track what they're doing, we know for a fact that weeks 6, 7, 8, 9, and even 10, 11, 12, but 6, 7, 8, and 9 seem to be the sweet spot to where these people finally pick up the phone and say, God, this Rick guy's been calling me for weeks. Or they've seen the number and they've not even listened to the voicemails, and they listen to a voicemail, So if you're utilizing a system that's helping you dial and you're automatically leaving a message, and it's not a live message, make sure it's a funny message.
Give them something to remember you by.
One of the message, you get into my week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I don't know if you've ever listened to my messages, but they get kind of funny.
Yeah.
Hey, it's week 12. For gosh sakes, I'm going to quit on you now. I've tried for 12 weeks to get a hold of you. You're talking to one of the best people in the industry, and yet I haven't gotten a call back from you. My heart hurts. And if you leave messages like that, 4, 5, 6, they're either going to laugh and send you a message that says laugh out loud, hey, I'll get with you when I have time.
Yeah.
Great. Can I follow up with you from time to time?
That's it.
Sure, no problem. Okay, time to time's next week. So, what we were taught, whether it was Carl White or Todd Duncan or some of the guys that we've coached under over the years, the core, it's every week for probably anywhere up to 12 to 16 weeks that you want to keep them on a list, make the call, try to get through to them. And of course, if they answer and they blow you off, if they're nasty to you, or they just flat out say, quit calling me, take them off the list and then have somebody else you add to the list.
That's it.
To replace them. But also make sure, this group is on week 12, this week is on group 6, and here's my rookies for week 1.
Yep.
And have those continually going. And whether you're making the calls yourself or whether you're utilizing a virtual assistant to help you make those calls, you'll find out that weeks in, I think I told you, I just got off the phone. I was really excited. I just had a great call with somebody. And I think it was the 5th time that we'd called this person.
Yeah.
And she answered, she took my call, she scheduled the meeting, and we had a great meeting. And these agents know that every once in a while there's somebody out there that's just a click better than who they're dealing with. And if they don't want you, they don't want you. But the thing is, if you're talking to them and you're calling them and you get them on the phone, you've got about 30 seconds, to make it happen. And, I know a lot of us are using similar scripts and things like that because we know scripting works. But the big thing is, you've got to say something to them. And, I think, we've known some great scripters, but Devin, you're one of the guys that is great at just coming right off the top of your head, either with a script that you've learned or something that you've converted it to. So in your case, what's the first thing you say to that realtor?
No, keep going. I want the compliments. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, at the end of the I had to learn recently to accept the compliments. I have a hard time with that because at the end of the day, I see the greatness in everybody, and so when somebody compliments me, it's tough sometimes to say thank you. And that's really the right thing to do is to thank them for seeing that quality in you, right? So thank you, Coach. I appreciate you saying that. How do we do it, right? And I think we could talk scripting all day. and I will throw some out there. There's a couple other things I want to go over too. But talking about scripts, a great opener is, hey, I've been checking you out in the industry. I see what you're doing out there, and I'm just super impressed. I love to meet with other top tier people. I know at some point in time I may have a contract come through your desk. I think we should know each other, right? That way, if you see me come through, you don't take that contract and put it to the side and go, I don't know this guy, right? I want you to know who I am. That way, when it happens, you already know you can trust me. We're going to be able to do some business together. How's Thursday sound? Would you be able to do a 15-minute call just to talk a little bit, get to know each other?
It's perfect. I mean, that's what I just did with the individual that I talked to. I said to her, I said, first of all, I got to really compliment you. Your success in the industry in the last 2 years is amazing.
Yep.
And I did my homework on you. I even looked you up everywhere just to see, because I knew you were living in this state, but you're doing business in this state, and you're doing business in that state, and you're working for a company in that state. I was trying to figure out, where is this? How did she do this?
Yeah.
And she was kind of excited when I complimented her.
You're a superstar.
And I said, how are you doing it? And boom, the story just came right out.
That's it.
And like you and I learned this morning on another call, I'd say, you did 5 with one builder? And it led to that next little, her getting on a roll.
That's it.
And I had her on such a roll that, for you and I, sometimes our biggest problem isn't doing our job or making our calls. It's being quiet at ourselves sometimes, because we're so excited about what we're doing. And
it's the passion.
She talked so much, I literally had to kind of wind it back into where I could take her to where we're moving to the next step. So it was kind of interesting. And the realtors are the same way, Yep.
Well, I'm going to touch back on something. We were talking about frequency, and some of you may be listening to this and going, every week? Man, it's way too much. There's no reason. They're going to get frustrated. I want to remind you guys a couple things, okay? There's a reason why every week. And if you really understand this formula and why it's every week, it's because what are we trying to provide to the agent? One of the biggest issues that most agents have is that people don't follow up. Right? They just don't follow up. So they get a lead and then they never hear back from the loan officer. Or they do, and it's not consistent. And so, when you start to talk to a lot of these top tier agents who work very, very, very hard to bring these leads in, right? And then they're going to share those with somebody. And they give them that lead, they don't follow up with it, they start to lose trust, right? Trust is built in small cap promises. Well, if you make a small cap promise to yourself that I'm going to follow up every single week, what begins to happen is the realtor partners go, man, this follow-up that this guy or gal has is absolutely unbelievable. And even one of the messages, Coach talks about funny messages, you get into week 6 or 7, you start leaving messages like, hey, if you like the way I'm following up, just imagine how I'd follow up with the customers, right? And you're planting those seeds in their mind of going, man, that is true. Like, wow, my current loan officer is not following up like this, right? And so you're training them that you're somebody they can rely on, because every single week they're going to get a call from you. Let me tell you something. The top tier agents, the ones that started at the bottom and got to where they are, most of them started there by doing FISBOs, door knocks, walking into situations just saying, hey, I'm a realtor and I want to help somebody. Please let me help you. And it's so insane to hear these stories about how hard these folks worked to build their business. And when they see somebody else that's replicating what they did in the past, they get excited, right? So when you hear every week, you're like, there's no way, man, they're just going to get frustrated. The great ones, they're going to create respect for you. That's really what it boils down to, man, is you're building respect because you're showing them with the craft of follow-up that you're the real deal, that you're going to get in there and do it. I hate to say this, but, I've been in this industry for 23 years. And quite frankly, there's a bad name for a lot of loan officers of being lazy, right? We've all met them. Loan officers that work until noon and go hit the golf course or hit the bar and, don't answer phone calls until the next day. They're out there, right? And unfortunately, it's that bad loan officer vibe that people get in the industry because they're like, man, it's another one of those, right? I don't want to go through that PTSD. And these top tier agents, they're in an industry that never sleeps. They work Monday through Sunday, 24 hours a day. Some of them get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you're listening to that going, man, I don't want to deal with all that. you are in the wrong business, right? You got to get out, because if these are the people that you want to play with, you got to play their game, right? And their game is they work hard because they want to be successful. If you want to be successful in this space, that's what it takes. It takes getting up and doing something extraordinary. And that's how you're going to land those opportunities with these big three agents. You're listening going, that's exhausting, I don't want to do it. You might want to think about a different career.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The number one thing that an agent will eventually tell you, maybe not right away, is your consistency in calling me is why I finally called you back to use you.
Yep.
Because you called me more than my regular loan officer did. And I figured if you were working that hard to get my business, once you got it, you were going to work twice as hard. And leaving that in the message, hey, how many other people have followed up with you for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Just think about it. I am dedicated to taking care of my people like you've never seen. And if you think I'm working hard to get your business, you gotta see how hard I work after I got your business.
Boom.
So, yeah,
Boom.
it's pretty cool. So, calling on a weekly basis. If somebody says, "Hey, I don't need a call every week," okay, well, move them to a schedule that's every other week. If somebody says, "Hey, I really don't want to, I don't want to talk for a couple months," go ahead and pull them off for 4 weeks or
Respect
6
them.
weeks.
Put a task in your CRM to
Yeah.
follow back up 2 months later, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if it's, the last week of February, don't call them in March and then call them in April. You waited 2 months, right?
Well, and I think we talk about one other thing, and then we'll cut this one off because we're pretty close to wrap up time. But one thing that we hear a lot of the times is a loan officer starts that follow up sequence, right? And they hear from one or two agents that like, stop calling me, I don't want to hear from you, or you call me too much, you bother me too much, right? And then they just associate that all agents don't want to hear from you. Right.
Yeah.
And so you've got to get past that myth, because you got to look at the other people on the bench, right? How many people did you call? Right. How'd the other 25 calls go? Right. If you talk to 30 people and 2 of them told you not to call them, that's not the majority, right? The majority is not telling you not to do it. And we have a tendency to do this, even myself, right? I use a sneaky trick. It's a video program called Bomb Bomb. And, when I send out a Bomb Bomb video, I can see how many people clicked on it. I can see how far they watched through. And let me tell you something. Every time I see like a 17% watch through, it hurts. It hurts a little bit, But guess what? Then I look at the other 30 people on there who watched 90% of the video, and I go, you know what? I'm concentrating on the few, not the many. My message is being received very positively, but I'm concentrated on the one person that's in the background going, boo, right? And not concentrating on the rest of them that are like, man, that was great. This is awesome, right? So, when you start doing this sequence, don't sell yourself short. Don't listen to one or two people who say, I don't like what you're doing. Stop calling me, right? And just stop. That's not the masses, right? You've got to have a control group and know that if the other 30 are saying, man, this is great. Yeah, follow up with me. Or they're answering and they're saying, yeah, I'll meet with you, right? That's our control, not the one or two that say, don't do it. Because let me tell you something. You're going to have a lot of people that slam the door in your face. You're going to have a lot of people that say, don't call me. And that's okay. We don't want to call them. We'll just grab another 25 agents that look like they're having great success based off of our qualification requirements. And then we start calling those agents, because what we're doing is building long-term lasting relationships.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. It's consistency is the key. And we've heard it said more than once, the more no's you get, the closer you are to the yes. And the yeses are what change your life.
Amen. Amen. We celebrate the no's, right? We celebrate the no's. Like, yes, because I'm that much closer to a yes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard somebody say something the other day. They said they take 25 little green army men and they put them on their desk. And then as they get the no each time, they flick over a little army guy, because it helps them know that they're that much closer to the yes. And I was like, man, that's brilliant. Like, it's absolutely brilliant, because it's like, nope, not there yet. Right. So I think
got
it's cool.
my marble jar back there on the shelf, and I used to fill it up with the nose. That's kind of funny. I never thought about that. I haven't thought about that in years. So there's a big jar back there with a couple hundred marbles in it.
I love it. I love it. You know, those are your celebrations, because let me tell you something, Coach, you're definitely winning.
We definitely are, and anybody who's following a model, and or anybody that wants help following a model, if they just give us a call, we'll show them how to do it the right way and show them what a real company does that supports people that want to grow their business. A lot of people want to grow it, but you got to take the steps to do it. You can't just show up on shows. You can't watch a video. You can't, hope and pray that everything you've learned is going to make you successful. But if you really want somebody that's going to push you, Devin, myself, we really work with our team and the people that join us. If our coaching on these calls makes you better and you learn something great, and if you want to be part of a great team, give us a buzz. And you can't imagine how hard it would work for you. So
I love your shameless plug. Take action, and hey, if you don't want to be pushed, it's okay. We don't push. We only take people that want to do the work, right? If you want to be coached and you want to have that extra layer of support that's going to move your business to the next level, if you're serious about your success, that's who we want to help out, right? Those that are out there that really just want to get it done. So speaking of shameless plugs, we're Premier Lending. This is the Loan Officer Success Partner Coach's Corner. I'm Devin Dubuque.
I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
Hey, we'll bring these things back to you once a week. So make sure that you like, subscribe, comment. If you want to book some time with Coach and I, just click on the link below and we'll make sure that we're right there for you. So don't hesitate. If you're thinking about it, click the link, jump on the calendar, give us a call. We're here for you.